Let me tell you about a woman I know. And before I go any further, I want to say something about why I am starting this reading with her story instead of going straight into the cards. Because I know some of you are thinking, what does a story about someone else have to do with me? What does a woman who waited 10 years for a man have to do with my specific situation, which is different and more complicated and cannot be summed up in a sentence? Everything. That is what it has to do with you. Because the specific details of her story are different from yours, but the feeling inside it is not. The feeling of loving someone and organizing significant portions of your life around that love and waiting for the arrangement to become what it has been promising to become, that feeling does not care about the specific details. It lives in the body the same way, regardless of whether it has been 10 years or 2 years or 10 months. And the woman at the coffee shop I saw yesterday, on the phone call that was not going well, nodding at something she did not agree with, she is connected to this too. She is somewhere in the middle of the same story. And the person watching this video is somewhere in it as well. At what point in the story? I am about to show you. She waited 10 years. 10 years of being told the timing was not right. 10 years of almost and soon, and let me just get through this one thing and then we will figure it out. 10 years of making herself smaller, adjusting her expectations, convincing herself that patience was a virtue and that real love was worth the wait. She was not naive. She was not someone who could not see what was happening. She was actually one of the smartest people I know. But she loved him. And when you love someone the way she loved him, intelligence does not always protect you from hope. I want to tell you what he did, because it is not what you think. He did not leave. He did not find someone else. He did not do anything cruel or dramatic that made the decision easy for her. What he did was exactly what he had been doing for 10 years. He asked her to wait a little longer. And this time, for the first time in a decade, she said no. That is what left everyone speechless. Not him. Her, the woman who had been the most patient person in every room she entered, looked at a man she had genuinely loved for 10 years and said, I am done waiting. And she walked toward a life that was built for her rather than around him. Within 18 months, she had built a business that was turning over more than she had ever earned working for someone else. She was living in a city she had always wanted to live in, but had postponed because of him. She was in a relationship with a man who had never once asked her to put her life on hold. And the person who had asked her to wait 10 years was still, by all accounts, waiting for the right moment to begin his actual life. I thought about her yesterday. I was sitting in a coffee shop in the afternoon, just after I had finished some work. And I was people watching the way you do when your mind is quiet and you are not trying to do anything in particular. And I saw a woman at the table across from me on a phone call that was clearly not going well. I could not hear what was being said, but I know that body language. The way she kept nodding, even though her eyes were saying something completely different. The way she laughed at something that was not funny. The way she looked out the window while she was agreeing to something she did not actually agree to. I have seen that body language before. I have worn that body language before. And I sat there with my coffee, and I thought, I need to make this reading today, because whoever needs to hear this is going to need to hear it before they spend another year nodding on a phone call they do not actually want to be on. So I came home, I laid out the cards, and this is what came through. My name is Alina, and today's reading is not comfortable. I want to say that up front, because I think you deserve to know what you are stepping into. This reading is not going to tell you that everything is going to work out if you just keep being patient and trusting the process. What it is going to do is ask you a question that I think part of you has already been asking yourself in the quiet moments. It is going to ask you how much of your life you are willing to organize around someone else's readiness while your own life waits in a room down the hall with the lights off. Let's get into the cards. The first card out of this deck is the Two of Cups reversed. And in the position of the pattern, the thing that has been quietly running underneath this situation. The loop that keeps repeating the Two of Cups reversed is showing me something that I want to say very carefully, because the truth of it is not comfortable, but the truth of it is also the beginning of the most important thing this reading has to say. The Two of Cups upright is the card of mutual recognition. Two people choosing each other at the same time, in the same way, with the same level of commitment and readiness. It is the card of genuine reciprocity in love. Reversed, one person is choosing more fully than the other. One person has organized more of themselves around this connection than the other has. One person has been doing more of the carrying. And what I want to say about this is not that the person doing the carrying is foolish or that what they feel is not real. What they feel is absolutely real. The love is real. The investment is real. The hope is real. But the carrying is not being matched. And when one person carries a relationship significantly more than the other for a long period of time, something happens that is so gradual and so quiet that the person doing the carrying often does not notice it until one day they look up and realize they have built their entire emotional life around a center that was never fully solid. I also want to say something about the word patience, because I think it gets used in these situations in a way that I find genuinely troubling. Patience is a virtue. That is true. Patience with a process that is actually moving, that is actually building towards something, that is actually producing evidence over time that the investment is sound, that patience is real, and it is valuable, and it is something worth cultivating. But there is another thing that sometimes gets called patience that is actually something different. It is the ongoing postponement of your own needs and wants and life in service of a situation that is taking more than it is giving. That is not patience. That is self-abandonment with a gentler name. And one of the things Spirit presses me on most consistently in readings like this one is the importance of being honest with yourself about which one you are actually doing. Are you being patient with something that is genuinely in process? Or are you calling something patience? Because patience sounds more dignified than what it would have to be called if you named it more accurately. Think about what that actually looks like in daily life. It looks like someone who checks their phone a little too often, who adjusts their plans when there is a possibility of seeing the other person, who makes decisions, sometimes big ones, sometimes the kind that shape a whole year of a life, with one eye on what this person might want or need or think, who has stories they tell themselves about why the timing is not right yet, and why the almost is not really an almost, and why the pattern of being asked to wait is actually evidence of how much they are valued rather than evidence of something more uncomfortable. I see this in so many readings, and every single time it breaks my heart a little. Not because the person is wrong to love, but because so much of their actual life, the daily, beautiful, actual moments of it, is being held at arm's length while they wait for a situation to become what it has been promising to become for longer than it should have taken. The Two of Cups reversed in this reading is not telling you the love is not real. It is telling you that love alone is not the same as a mutual life. And those two things are not the same thing, even though we are taught for most of our lives to believe they are. Libra energy comes through with this card, the sign that wants so deeply to have things be fair, to balance, to find the version of things where everyone is okay and everything works out. If you carry Libra in your chart, this card is landing in the most personal place in your chart. That Libra quality, the wanting it to be fair, the trying to find the interpretation of events that means no one is the bad person and everything can still work, has probably been part of how this situation has stayed in your life as long as it has. Numbers 2 and 7. The letter N or the letter T coming through with this card. The second card is the Eight of Cups. And this is the card I need to speak about very directly, because it is the most important card in this reading, and it is in the position of what this pattern has cost you. The Eight of Cups is one of the most honest cards in the entire tarot. It shows a figure walking away from a stack of cups they have spent real time and real energy building. They are not running. They are not being chased. They are walking away deliberately. And what is interesting about this card is that the cups they are leaving behind are not broken. They are not damaged. They are simply no longer the point. They are being left behind not because they were wrong to build, but because the person who built them has finally understood that staying with what they have built is costing them something they can no longer afford to keep paying. What has been costing you? I want to stay with this question because Spirit is pressing me on it, and I think you deserve to have it named out loud rather than left as something abstract. It has been costing you time. The simple, irreplaceable daily hours of your actual life that have been organized around a situation that kept asking for more of them without giving you the certainty that justified the investment. Every evening spent wondering. Every morning that started with a feeling that was somewhere between hope and anxiety. Every plan you made or did not make because of how it might intersect with the situation. Time is the only resource that genuinely cannot be replaced, and a significant portion of yours has been quietly absorbed by this while your actual life waited. It has been costing you other connections, the people and possibilities that might have come toward you if your energy had been fully available to receive them. There is a particular kind of emotional unavailability that happens when someone is deeply invested in a situation that has not resolved. It does not mean you are closed to people. It means the most central, most alive part of your attention was occupied. And things that might have arrived connections, relationships, opportunities that recognized your energy and wanted to meet it found that energy partially taken and moved on. It has been costing you the version of yourself that exists on the other side of this. The person you are when you are not spending any portion of your daily energy on the maintenance of waiting. The version of you that woke up the morning the woman I told you about at the beginning woke up on the first day after she said no. She told me later that she did not know what to do with herself that morning. Not in a sad way, in a disoriented way. Like someone who has been carrying a heavy bag for so long that when they finally put it down their arms, do not know how to hang at their sides. She said she stood in her kitchen for a few minutes, just feeling the absence of the weight, and then she made coffee and sat by the window, and for the first time in years, she just sat there without her mind going somewhere else. That version of you, the one who wakes up and sits by the window with their whole mind present, exists. Spirit is showing me that clearly. What the Eight of Cups is naming is simply what it has been costing you to not yet be her. Pisces and Scorpio come through with this card. Numbers 8 and 17. The 8th and 17th of any month. September feeling significant. There is a specific conversation I want to describe because I think it will resonate with some of you more than any card could. A woman I read for about a year ago came to me with a situation that had been going on for 4 years. The surface details were specific to her particular circumstances, particular reasons given for the waiting, particular almost moments that had come and not quite arrived. But at the center of it was a very simple dynamic. She kept saying yes to less than she had originally agreed to. Not dramatically, incrementally, a little less this year than last year. A little more adjusted, a little more flexible, a little more willing to reframe what she said she needed as something she actually did not need that much after all. She had been doing this for 4 years without fully seeing it, and by the time she came to me, she had adjusted herself so far from her original position that she had almost forgotten what her original position was. She had almost forgotten what she had said she wanted at the beginning, because she had talked herself out of wanting it so many times that the want itself had grown quiet. And the thing that struck me most in that reading was not what the cards showed about the other person, it was what they showed about her. About the version of herself that was waiting quietly, in a room she had stopped visiting, for her to come back and remember what she had said she needed before she started adjusting. The third card is the Strength card, and I want to spend time with this card in this position. Because in the position of the door that has been open, the thing available to you, on the other side of this situation, strength is telling me something that I think is going to land differently than you expect. Most people, when they think about leaving a situation that has not been giving them what they need, think about it as a loss, a grief, a thing they will need to survive. And there is grief in it. I am not going to tell you there is not. The woman I told you about cried for 3 weeks. Not every day, but in waves. She would be doing something completely ordinary, and it would hit her, and she would just have to let it. She said it felt like grieving someone who was still alive. Grieving the version of the future that was never going to happen no matter how long she waited. But the strength card in the position of what is available on the other side is telling me something specific about what that grief leads to. Because strength in the tarot is not the card of someone who was never hurt. It is the card of someone who was genuinely in the experience, fully, without protecting themselves from it, and who found something on the other side of it that they could not have found any other way. A quality, a knowing, a capacity for their own life that only becomes available once they have stopped using their energy to maintain something that is not fully returning it. The woman I told you about said something to me 6 months after she made her decision that I have thought about many times since. She said she felt like she had gotten her hands back. She had not realized how much of her daily mental energy had been going into the maintenance of that situation until it was no longer going there. And suddenly, she had hands again. Hands that were free to build things. And she was genuinely shocked by how quickly things moved once those hands were free. That is what the strength card is showing me on the other side of the door for you. Not just emotional freedom. Actual, practical, creative, generative freedom. The kind that turns into things you can point to. Into a life that is actually being built for you rather than around something that keeps asking you to wait. Leos and the energy of the lion come through with strength. The quiet, undeniable power of someone who has stopped performing patience and started claiming their actual life. Numbers 8 and 11. The letter C or G around this card. The fourth card is the Ace of Pentacles. And in the position of what you are capable of on the other side of this, what becomes available in the practical material reality of your actual daily life, the Ace of Pentacles, is one of the most concrete and direct answers Spirit could have given me. A new beginning. A real one. Not a new beginning that is defined by what you are leaving. A new beginning that is defined entirely by what you are walking toward. The Ace of Pentacles is a seed card. It is the card of something that has not yet grown, but that contains, already within it, everything it needs to become enormous. And what Spirit is showing me through this card is that you are carrying seeds right now. Things you are capable of. Things you want to build. Things you have thought about and imagined, and maybe even quietly started in the corners of your life. These things are waiting for the full weight of your attention and energy to begin growing properly. Let me give you a real example of what this looks like. I have a friend who spent 4 years in a relationship that kept almost becoming what she needed without quite getting there. 4 years of living slightly outside her own life. When she finally ended it, she took a month to just breathe. And then she did something she had been thinking about for 2 years, but had never quite found the time or energy for. She started learning something new. Nothing dramatic, just a skill she had always wanted to have. Within a year, that skill had turned into a side income. Within 2 years, it had become her primary income. She said later that the skill had always been available to her. The time and energy had always technically existed. But her full attention had not been available. And the Ace of Pentacles is the card of what becomes possible when your full attention comes back to your own life. And I want to address something that comes up in almost every reading of this type that I have ever done. The question of whether walking toward your own life means giving up on love. Whether choosing yourself means choosing to be alone. Whether the woman I told you about at the beginning lost something real when she finally said no. She did not lose something real. She lost the potential of something that was never going to become real, no matter how long she waited. And there is a profound difference between those two things, even though they feel identical from the inside in the moment of losing them. What she lost was the version of the future she had been imagining and hoping for. What she found was the version of the future that was actually available to her. And the man in the real version, the one who did not ask her to wait, the one who saw her the first time he looked at her and has not stopped seeing her since, is someone she would never have encountered if she had still been organized around the situation she finally walked away from. Not because the universe rewarded her for leaving, but because her full presence and her full energy became available to recognize something real when it arrived. You cannot fully see what is actually in front of you when your eyes are on something that has been promising to arrive for years. The Ace of Pentacles is the card of what becomes visible when you bring your eyes fully forward. I am not saying leave. I want to be very clear about that. Spirit does not make those decisions, and neither do I. What I am saying is that the Ace of Pentacles is showing me that on the other side of this situation, whatever form on the other side takes for you, there are seeds that are ready to grow. There is a version of your daily life that is being built entirely around what you need and want and are capable of. And that version is not a consolation. It is not what happens when the thing you actually wanted did not work out. It is genuinely, specifically better. The Ace of Pentacles in this position is the universe saying that to you directly. Taurus and Virgo come through with this card. The patient, devoted builder who finally directs their patience and devotion toward their own growth rather than toward the maintenance of something that does not return the investment. Numbers 1 and 6. June is highlighted. The letter A or the letter M circling this card. I want to say something now that is not from a card. It is just from me. I spent part of last year in a situation that was asking more of me than it was giving back. I did not recognize it at first because I am good at finding the generous interpretation of things. I am the person who naturally looks for the version of events that is kind to everyone involved. And I spent a significant amount of time finding that interpretation and extending it and giving it the benefit of the doubt, even when the doubt was becoming harder to find the benefit of. And I remember sitting one evening, this was late. I was tired. I had just had a conversation that had left me feeling smaller than I had felt when I started it, and I thought very clearly, I have been treating my own time and energy as though they were less valuable than keeping this comfortable for someone else. That thought was not angry. It was just true. And it was the thought that eventually changed everything. I am not sharing that to make this reading about me. I am sharing it because I think sometimes when we are inside a situation that has been organized around someone else for a long time, it helps to know that the moment of clarity is not a lightning bolt. It is a quiet thought, usually in a tired moment, usually when your guard is down enough to let the truth be simple. And the truth, when it comes, is not dramatic. It is just true. And it changes the next thing you do. And the next thing after that. Until eventually, you look back and realize that one quiet thought in one tired moment was the beginning of the whole life that came after it. Before I close, I want to give you quick confirmations. Letters running through this reading: N, T, C, G, A, M, and a clear R toward the close of the energy. Names coming through: Nina, Tariq, Camille, George, Amara, Maria, Rachel, Layla, Astrology Libra, Pisces, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Virgo, all present. If you carry any of these in your chart, especially as a moon or rising, this reading is landing somewhere very personal for you. Numbers across the full reading: 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 11, 17, June and September, both highlighted. If these numbers or months or letters landed somewhere in your body, this reading found you. If you want to go deeper into your specific situation, I do private email readings, and the link is in the description. That is the space for the details. Here is the full picture of what came through today. There is a pattern running in your life right now of loving or investing in something more fully than it is being returned. That pattern is real, and the love inside it is real, but the carrying is not being matched. That imbalance has been costing you time, other connections, and access to the version of yourself that exists when your hands are fully free to build your own life. On the other side of this situation, whatever form that other side takes there, is a strength card waiting. Not the absence of grief. Real, earned, quiet, unshakable strength. And there is an Ace of Pentacles. A seed. A beginning that is defined entirely by what you are walking toward rather than what you are walking away from. Something that grows the moment your full attention is available to tend to it. The door is open. It has been open for a while. Spirit does not tell you to walk through it. That is yours to decide. All Spirit can do, all I can do, is make sure you know the door is there. And that what is on the other side is not a consolation prize. It is the actual thing. The woman I told you about at the beginning, she told me recently that the 10 years were not wasted, that she learned things about herself inside them that she could not have learned any other way. But she also said she wished someone had sat her down around year 4 and asked her one question. Not a dramatic question, just this one. How much of your actual life are you willing to put in the waiting room? That is my question for you today. You do not have to answer it out loud. You do not have to answer it to me. But I am asking it because Spirit asked me to ask it. And because the asking of it is sometimes the only thing that needed to happen. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.